Hi, Dr. Mercola. Thanks so much for being here today. I just would like to start with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a board certified family physician and have treated tens of thousands of patients before I transitioned into having a website because technology is one of my passions, and I felt that I could uh, really help more people and leverage my time by doing it through electronic communication. So we've had the most visited health website or natural health website for the last 15 years now. So we get to reach millions and millions of people. So it's a great privilege to have that honor to be able to help so many people avoid drugs and surgery.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what do you know about Bryan? What do you know of his work?
Well, I've been impressed with it for a while. He's a naturopath, of course, and I like his style and approach because he focuses on practical, simple strategies, which is one of the focuses that I also share. And he can communicate in a really effective and simple way. And really, he takes. He's a leader. He's not a follower. There's so many people in natural medicine that just annoy the heck out of me. And I mean, people that I'm not going to share their names, but a lot of them are in functional medicine. But they just don't innovate. So he goes to the literature, he looks up the studies and reads them, which is a rare skill set. And it's really, I think, essential now because most of the stuff we learn in school, I mean, the very first day of medical school, the dean of our medical school class told us that, listen, most of the stuff that we're going to teach you got to learn for the boards, but 75% of it's going to be gone or incorrect by the time you graduate. So we really want to focus on teaching you how to learn. And I think Bryan is really one of the unusual clinicians who's actually adopted that mindset. So I appreciate his diligence in pursuing truth through basically simple strategy and coming up with conclusions that don't necessarily agree with the consensus. And that takes quite a bit of courage.
Would you say that there's a certain subject that you've read about or heard about that he covers particularly well?
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with the broad scope of his work, just really as his focused on detoxification. And I'd become passionate about using fasting and had thought that it was the most powerful metabolic intervention that I had ever encountered in 30 years of clinical medicine. Bryan helped me understand it profoundly and really opened my eyes. And actually it was instrumental in my new book, which is coming out in the spring, which is called Keto Fast. I didn't agree with him when I first started writing the book that water fasting probably isn't the ideal and maybe even dangerous in some people. And now I couldn't agree more wholeheartedly. I mean, he nailed it right on because for a number of reasons, because of the detoxification issue, but perhaps even more importantly, because of compliance.
Cool. Well, if you were to recommend Bryan or his work, or as you know, we have this upcoming seminar to a colleague, if they were to ask you about it, what would you say?
I'd say invest in yourself. It's really important to do continuing education and to learn from one of the leaders and innovators, which is a really unusual, as I said earlier, an unusual characteristic. You'd owe it to yourself. And, I mean, the other alternative is to go to these events that you're going, that are conferences that are 3-day conferences. But then, at the most, the people are going to speak for typically an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And that's, in my experience, it's just too short a period to really go deep. So Bryan's going to, I believe these are 3-day or 2.5-day events. So there's enough time to really go into the details and ask your questions rather than going to some of these events where there might be 20 or 30 speakers. So I personally plan on attending and would encourage anyone who has an interest in natural health to consider attending themselves.
Well, great. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you there. And thanks again for your time and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot.